Maximum strength, impeccable physique, excellent hand-eye coordination, and a good heart. We could be describing a superhero. But we're talking about a Roman general. That's the character Russell Crowe had to become to play Maximus in Ridley Scott's Gladiator. But what does an actor need to do to impersonate such a vigorous protagonist? That's what we'll find out in this video. Let's get into Crowe's sandals and analyze his process of becoming the vengeful fighter Maximus Decimus Meridius. It's unimaginable to think of making a movie without having a script, especially an epic story set in ancient Rome with a huge budget and an equally significant expectation surrounding it. Some might even say it's the dumbest way to make a film.
We had 21 pages when we started shooting. Your average script is about 110.
How much in the final movie is you?
Well, that's me and Ridley working together. You know, it's the dumbest possible way to make a film.
But that's what happened to Gladiator. After Russell Crowe agreed to do the part of Maximus, he and the director Ridley Scott sat down to discuss the story and realized they only had a few pages of good enough material. What's an actor to do in this situation? Crowe admits it was scary.
It was scary as hell, man.
Right.
And I was on my way to the airport a couple of times because it was like, what are we going to do? Because all this expectation and responsibility, and I didn't know what we were doing, you know?
Right.
And the thing is what I'm good at is learning about it.
Right.
And learning my dialogue. I really just have one line going through my head. You know, it's 184 AD. You're a Roman general, and you're being directed by Ridley Scott. Just keep turning up to work.
The idea of working with Ridley Scott motivated Russell to believe in the project. And luckily for Scott, Crowe's ability to improvise didn't disappoint.
I was intrigued by that, and that led to a series of meetings, basically a slash and burn job on the script that they had. From there, it was a matter of taking the leap of faith and getting involved in a very large collaboration and searching for the narrative that was going to be sufficiently different from the other sword and sandal dramas that had been done before.
A few memorable lines from Crowe's mind were his description of his home to Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
In which Crowe used his real-life home in Australia as inspiration and Maximus's signature motto to his soldiers.
I said to Ridley, I want the character to say something like that, you know? When he greets soldiers from his regiment and stuff, you know, he should say that when he's leaving them. You know, that's his sort of thing.
However, not all of Crowe's improvisations found glory. Crowe was not happy about the iconic line in which Maximus declares,
"And I will have my vengeance in this life or the next."
And according to The Guardian, he tried to come up with alternatives that didn't go well. After multiple unsuccessful takes, however, he was persuaded to go back to the scripted version, which everyone agreed worked magnificently. Everyone except Crowe, who told Scott, "It was shit, but I'm the greatest actor in the world and I can make even shit sound good." Now, that's a good line, but if Crowe actually was the greatest actor in the world, surely he could have improvised something better for Gladiator? Well, the important thing is that Ridley Scott was happy with Russell Crowe. It was the first time the two were working together, so the director even conducted a little test to see what the star was capable of.
He just comes up to me and goes, I'm just going to shoot you, contemplating. I want you to look over to your right, and I want you to see a small bird in the tree. Perhaps it makes you smile. The bird takes off and the bird will fly away, and I want you to watch its flight, and its flight brings you back to the battlefield and what's actually in front of you. Right. And he goes, and action. So I do that, and I'm pretty sure I did every single thing he asked, and I put little strokes of color on certain things, and then I brought the attention back to the battlefield, and he just came up to me and goes, you and me are going to be f***ing great together, mate.
After the bird-watching test, Ridley Scott was sure Russell Crowe was in the right headspace to give life to Maximus. But what about his looks? Did Crowe's appearance coincide with what Maximus should look like? Not all roles require a specific physique from the actors, but some do, and a Roman general is one of them. Crowe, who had just gained 50 pounds to play the role of the tobacco executive Jeffrey Wigand in The Insider, found himself on a weight roller coaster this time. He had to lose 40 pounds to fit Maximus's body type. According to the men's journals, Crowe's strict diet consisted of 6 to 8 meals of lean protein, complex carbs, and healthy fats kept Crowe's metabolism burning. He chose high-fiber fruits and vegetables to control his appetite and aimed for 1 gram of protein per pound of his body weight to maximize muscle gain. It wasn't just about losing weight. He had to gain muscle too, and learn how to master a sword. His training consisted of lifting weights, sword lessons, and working on his farm in Australia. After Crowe found himself ready to fight, his improvisation skills skills went beyond his lines. The actor also came up with a new fight choreography that had the director pull some strings to make it happen.
There's one conversation I had with Ridley where I said I wanted to decapitate a guy at the end of this fight sequence. And he said, well, look, you know, I can't just add a decapitation. It's a pretty heavy thing. I'm going to have to discuss it with the studio and everything. And I said, look, this is the way the choreography goes at the moment. And I showed him. I said, this is what I want to change it to. And I showed him. And he could see that it was more dynamic and more part of the character. And the last move of that sequence was this decapitation. And he's literally smoking a cigar. He's heard what I've had to say. He's watched it, you know, a couple of puffs on a cigar. And he calls out to his first assistant director and he goes, Terry, how many heads have we got left?
With all the new stunt action seen in the film, Crowe left the project with a few injuries and stories to tell. Russell Crowe suffered a number of injuries on set, breaking all bones in his hip and tearing both Achilles during filming, all despite the studio attempting to prevent him from hurting himself by banning him from playing football during the shoot. One injury that appeared on screen is the wound audiences see on his cheek in the first battle. It's real, though not inflicted by a sword. Instead, the horse he was riding was spooked and took him into a tree. But the scariest part was almost actually getting mauled by one of the tigers. In one of the more memorable fight scenes, Crowe's character faces off with a tiger. That didn't come without risk either. Speaking with Variety, director Ridley Scott recalls, Russell said, okay, release them. And when Russell would fall back, the tiger would come out of the hole and Russell would roll out of the way. He said, me, that was close. And I said, we were all there as well, Russell. Hey, you were 2 feet. I was like 4 feet.
The way the tiger fight goes is very dangerous.
While injuries and a scary almost encounter with a tiger were not the only legacies Crowe inherited from Gladiator. The star was nominated and won an Oscar for his remarkable performance.
And the Oscar goes to Russell Crowe in Gladiator.
And he saw a big change in his definition of fame.
I think the day that I really realised that something was massively different, I was in Rome. I just walked out of my hotel and I'd gone shopping. And I was in the store, came out of the shop, and like the whole street, the entire street was full of people. And I went up to him, what's going on, you know? And he goes, you, Gladiator, you are going on. I was like, and then they all started erupting, this whole street full of people go, Massimo, Massimo.
Since playing Maximus, Russell Crowe admits that most fans he meets want to talk about Gladiator, and although they might think they're being clever by calling back to one very famous line in the film, Crowe might disagree.
Yeah, Gladiator really is the main reference thing, and everybody thinks they're the wittiest person in the world if they say to me, are you not entertained?
It's undeniable that Russell Crowe's journey in Gladiator was epic. From an unscripted project, through creating ancient Rome on the go, to an Academy Award. Not to side with the fans, but one can only assume he was in fact entertained by all of this. What are your thoughts about Crowe's performance? Do you think the Australian star deserved the Oscar for his role as Maximus? Comment your answer down below.